I'd like to welcome everybody to Outside the Games. Thank you so much for coming into our program. This show is about the student athletes, about who they are on and off the field, their character, their academics, what makes them. And we get to talk about their sport and family, a lot of fun topics. But we're here with a special student athlete today. Her name is Karina Nuez. She's with Los Alamitos High School, California, class of 2022, third base outfield, part of the Firecrackers Brashear club team. Hey, I tell you, Karina, thank you so much for coming on Outside the Games. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. Yeah, it's been great. But to have you on our show, it's a pleasure. But we always start the show with family. Family is such a big thing because it's the foundation of you, what makes you the student athlete. How would you define family, Karina, and why?
Family to me has always, growing up, has been my biggest supporters. Is the greatest bond within yourselves. I grow up with 7 cousins, so I'm surrounded by people who constantly want to be there for me and who want to have my back. I also grew up with 2 brothers in the family, older brothers, so they really pushed me, treating me like I was just another brother. But I had to keep up with them. I didn't want to be the one that was sitting in the corner. I kept up with them, and my parents are they're my rock. I go to them for everything. They take me everywhere. Their love and support is absolutely incredible.
Wow, what a definition of family. I love it. Well, let's talk about the roles of your family and that of your mom and dad. Play such an instrumental role in you as a student athlete. Take first your mom. What are some special things that your mom do for you to help you keep on track as a student athlete, academically and in your sport?
My mom, I think of her more of my mental side. I get after hard games, people always say don't go in the dad's car, go in the mom's. And so I'll go in the mom's car, and she calms me down, what could you have done better? Overall, yes, you did good, but what could you have done better in this aspect of the game? Dad's gonna get mad at you, but you need to calm down before we get home. And she's always the one at the family dinners, hi guys, how's your day? So she's kind of the one that brings us together, and it's just, her love is amazing for us.
Yeah, I love that. Your moms they play that. There's always a role each one will play. One will be that person that helps the mental state, keeps you balanced, as it were, and keep you, be there to support. Let's get to your dad. Now, your dad, it seems to be the fire. He seems to be the one that's just, wants to push and get you going.
Yes.
Through his role that he does for you.
My dad is making sure I'm the kid who wants to be out there doing stuff. For example, this morning was laying down, relaxing, and he's all right, let's go clean your car. I was it's not can I get a break? Can I just sleep for a little longer? But I love him. He's my coach since I was 14 years old. So 6 to 14, he was my coach. He was my role dog through LAGSL, Los Alamitos Girls Softball League. He was with me. Travel ball, he was my coach with SoCal Athletics. SoCal Athletics Limo, he was my coach. And he's been the one to push me, come on, Karina. His whole thing is he's gonna install the software, and then hopefully it just comes out and I produce how he wants me to produce. And the only thing is I just want to make him proud at the end of the day.
I love that illustration. The process of the software. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's his thing.
Well, I tell you, you always look at also too outside of that, and really, I think your brothers, being older, they're the ones that kind of push the buttons, poke the bear a little bit as far as what they do. So it's you call them hey, they think me as a brother. I'm a female and I'm their sister. So talk me through what do they do for you as well?
Oh boy, growing up, they're wrestling in the living room and they'll call my name, "Where's Karina? Where's Karina?" And somehow I get involved with it and we're throwing pillows at each other and we're wrestling. It's fun. They're about, I want to say, they're 9 years older than me. So it it was tough, but I pushed through it. And I think that's also where it came, like, through my mental toughness now is definitely like you got beat up by, I mean, that sounds bad. That's not what I meant, but like you're like messing around with like your 9-year-old brothers, like getting like you're getting bickered at, like, and that's what made me mentally tough. And I thank them, like, honestly, like every day, like thank you for that, because softball, it's within here at the end of the day.
I tell you, Karina, you could be real on this show because we don't
Mhm.
sugarcoat anything. So they ground and pound. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll beat up on you. I mean, they
Yes.
will do that. That's what brothers do. Siblings are that way and older.
Yeah.
What it is, I think it's interesting. They make you tougher, as you
Mhm.
said. They get you battle tested for what's coming. And I
Yes.
think with your parents, your mom and your dad and your brothers, wow, what a group that really ensures to make sure that you're going to be tougher,
Yes.
that you're going to be focused, driven, and motivated. Yeah,
Yes. Definitely.
love it. Outside of that, there's also mentorship, Karina. There are
Mhm.
mentors in your life that are that extension of the family. Go with outside the games a little bit and tell me who those mentors are and why are they so important.
My biggest mentors, definitely outside of my family, would have to be my high school coach, Rob Weil, and my travel ball coach, Sean Brashear. Um, they have been definitely the two biggest mentors. I go to Rob, like, "Rob, what do I do in this situation?" He gives me a step-by-step training, "You do this, this, and this," and, like, he'll calm me down, like, after bad prac or during, like, bad plays, bad practice, he'll pull me aside, be like, "Quick, what's up? Like, how's your day? Are you ready for ASB today? Like, how are you doing?" And, like, I think that's when it's, like, a good thing, like, to shift out of reality for a little bit, like, there's so much more to the game. And with Sean Brashear, you spend so much time at high school softball, you don't really get to see your travel ball team as much until the weekend, especially with the Brashear organization, and I think that's a good thing because you go to you go to Sean, it's a new face, or not a new face, but, like, it's not, maybe not your high school coach. You go to Sean and you're like, "Okay, well, this and this happened at high school, or this and this is happening, and this," and I think you click out like, "Hey, like, you got it, like, you're gonna be okay." And another one would definitely have to be Mike Smith, my hitting coach and also my travel ball coach, another well-rounded, loving coach. And I go to hitting with him and he's like, "Hey, you want to hit today? Like, how are you feeling?" "Yes, I want to hit. Like, haven't had the best day." And he's like, "Okay, let's get in here. Like, let's go. You're on at 8:30." And I think that's like the biggest help for me recently, definitely would have to be Mike Smith. 100%. Love that guy. He has, for these past 2 years, he's had my back and I couldn't thank him enough.
Wow, wow, how important those mentors are, and then really they
Yeah.
play the. I think it's like funny because it's like it's interesting
Yeah.
the softball aspect, but they're also checking in on you with academics and making sure home
Yes.
life is okay and everything's all right.
Uh,
That extension means so much.
Yes. It's it's definitely a big help because people are always like, "Oh, you go to your softball coach for, like, personal problems?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're almost like, I don't know, I think of them like my father, like, almost like my second father. It's like, I go to them for everything, and I really, like I said, I can't stress it enough, I truly do think them, like, they're a big help in my life.
And I think also too that comes to mind is they're protective, right?
Yes.
They're very protective of you to make sure you're okay.
Yes, 100%. Constantly checking in. You get hurt at practice. The first person to call me is Coach Rod Weil. "Karina, how are you doing? How's the ankle? How's the leg? Like, tell me what's wrong." And then, it just kind of feeds into that.
Well, I tell you, looking at Los Alamitos High School,
Mhm.
California. Now we're going to talk about the school. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about the inner corridors of the school, but also too
Mhm.
something very impressive, Karina. You got a 4.0 here going on
Yeah.
with academics. I mean, so you're really putting it in the classroom a little bit now that
Mhm.
we're back to a classroom.
Yes, definitely. Um, all around we were a we hold a school around maybe 3,500 kids. So we're a decent sized school, and a lot of us know us from like our athletes. All our athletes are really like, we strive to be our best, and like our academics is one of the best in Orange County. That's why a lot of kids like tend to like gravitate towards Los Alamitos. And then on the plus side, you get like your athletes. Like our football team is doing really well this year. Um, we're doing really well, and that also goes to back our softball program and like even like our water polo program. Like our athletics is definitely one of the best. With softball, all three levels amazing. He always stressed it like our JV team could be like a varsity team somewhere else, and I think that's amazing to like hear because all 68 athletes within our program are top tier athletes that are they're gonna be good. Like we're gonna be good, and when we all put it together, it's gonna be a show. It's gonna be fun.
I tell you, I love sports, and I love the fact that your athletic program is top notch. Okay,
Yes.
but it's interesting. You even weaved in academics, how
Mhm.
academics are so important to the student athletes there. Let's go into that a little bit. When you look at academics and you're trying to hold a 4.0, that's not easy. There's a lot on your plate. And
Mhm.
take me through the support academically you get at Los Alamitos High School from, hey, school counselors, academic counselors, teachers. Go into that.
So we have this thing called Griffin Lab at our school, and you can go in, tutors, you get tutors. We also get this thing on Naviance called Paper Co, and it's a 24/7 tutor. So constantly kids are on the computers typing like questions like how do I solve this problem? It'll take you step by step with the actual tutor 24/7 that's going to show you how to do everything that you need to know about that equation. Going in with softball and like academics, you could tell Rob like, hey, I gotta go tutor with my anatomy teacher right now. And he'll be like, okay, not a problem. So you have until 1:35 till 2:37 to get your tutors in. Like get your tutors in before sixth period ends and then head over to softball. So I think that's like a big thing a lot of kids strive to be better in. And obviously like, it's your GPA. It's like it's something that like people obviously like people are gonna look at, your college applications, your college coaches. And another good thing within like our softball program especially is that at the end of the day our coaches will ask, okay, who needs help in math? And then, some kids will raise my hand, I'm an algebra teacher, or like kids will say, I'm an algebra teacher, I need help. Another student athlete will be like, okay, I had that last semester, let's go work on it. So you'll miss a day of practice, and you'll sit in our team room and you're going to work for that whole time that we're practicing. Other athletes are practicing. You're going to work with that other student athlete on that specific topic, and 100% helps a ton. And I just love our support from our school, especially our counselors. A big heads up to our counselors because without them, I literally don't know what I do. My counselor is amazing, Matt Ream. Love him. He's great. It's amazing.
I mean, they're prepping you for the next level.
Yes.
It's funny on how fast it goes. Number one, I mean, you go from
Yes.
freshman year right over to senior year, and it's like where
Mhm.
did time go? But all through that, you're getting planning, organizing, preparation
Yes.
for that next level in college. I love it. I love the fact that now, well, let's talk about teachers. You talk about the teachers at Los Alamitos High School. They care. They care about their students and
100%.
student athletes. Take me through what your relationship is like with your teachers and how important is that relationship?
At our school, our teachers are 100% amazing. Every single teacher up and down the line, A through Z, is amazing. I've, like I said, I've been here for 4 years. Freshman year, all had amazing teachers. Sophomore year, connected with the teachers so good that I dressed up as them for Halloween. So it's like the bond that they care and like they want to do better for you. Like my anatomy teacher, she'll be like, okay, is this good? Like, are you guys good? Like, I want to be here for you. And then we're like, no, like we're all good. Like, you don't need to worry. But I think it's like cool. Like our teachers care about us, and I don't think like a lot of kids like come back like, oh man, like I don't like my teacher like from other schools, and then like talking to a low style kid, you're like, oh, you don't like your teacher, like, like we love them all. It's amazing. I love it.
I think about, your classes, and take me through what your favorite class in high school is right now.
My favorite class right now, oh my goodness.
If
I
you had to choose one
If I had to choose one all through high school,
right now.
oh, right now would have to be anatomy. 100% anatomy. I love like going into like I don't know. I think it's like cool like digging deep into like the body, and we have this thing called visible body, and you kind of like look through the body, you see like inside of the body, like the bones. And what's kind of cool is we just got a body into our classroom. It's not real. It's like a fake, like it's made out of the proteins in our body or something like that. I don't know, but it's literally sitting right next to my desk, and like water has to like run through it. And so like you open up and it's like just a nice little body there. And like I don't know, I think it's cool. Like it's the most interactive class, and the way she sets up her classroom, and to where you don't have any well, you do have homework for the week, but it's not all due until Friday. And I think that also comes within like managing your time. Like you have 3 assignments due on Friday. How are you going to do them within this week? You have football games on Friday. You have Yeah, so you're at football games on Friday. So really you're out until like late because you want to go with your friends and like do all that. So really they're due at Thursday. So now how are you gonna expand that with practice and like all that? So that's why I love that class. Definitely a big preparation for college.
Well, especially you got to understand how the body is, and as far as the functioning of
Mhm.
the body is really interesting because
Yes.
from a sports level, you're
Yes.
seeing your body perform from being practice, training, all of this
Mhm.
that goes into it. So that brings a little something special for you to
Mhm.
try to get to know and understand. But
Yeah.
what's your least favorite class, Karina? I know there's got to be one. I mean, there's one that you probably find challenging.
Uh-huh. My least favorite would have to be modern lit. Modern literature just really drives me into like, come on, Karina, like you gotta push. And I think like coming oh, oof, that class just trust me, I love the teacher. Like she tries to make it fun, but I think like mentally I'm like, all right, like we gotta do this. Like this cannot be, but it's a lot of writing and like typing and all that. And like we're constantly doing something. Like we're getting into like psychosexual stages and like all these different stages and personality modes and like all this that like we would have never even thought of. Like we're connecting like the color white to like different things like around it's crazy, It gets and I think that's where like it gets me like it gets a little stressful, I'm not gonna lie. But at the end of the day I'm like, okay, like I really did that. Like we really just got out of modern lit like that. Like, okay.
Well, and that's the thing that's interesting about it is that not always will there be a class that you go, perfect class ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always going to be a little time where you'll find you'll have to kind of fight through things, get through
Yes.
the time management you'll find will be different for anatomy
Yes.
versus this class. So it's finding your way through things. And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing for you is the
Yeah.
problem solving, trying to get through it. So I think you learn about yourself. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you definitely do. And with that class, everything is due at the end of the period or at 11:59 of that same day that you got it. So you might have a whole paragraph, like 3 whole paragraphs due by the end of the period. She's gonna say the end of the period. So everyone's like racing to get it done. And she'll be like, okay, and if you didn't get it done, it's due till the later the night. And I think that's when you're like, okay, like, but still, like, it's a hard class. Like you're really going at it in that class, and that's what like you know as a student athlete you're like, but hey, it's gonna be okay.
Well, I tell you, what a conversation we're having here with Karina Nuez with Los Alamitos High School in California, 4.0 student, part of the Firecrackers Brashear club team, third base and outfield. We'll be right back.
I had this vision of what success looked like. It wasn't always about holding a trophy, it was the journey that I went through along the way. It takes years to get to greatness. I played this one sport for 28 years of my life. When you move on into a completely new territory, you don't know what to expect. I think through sport, I realized that so many things are in my hands. I want to take all the lessons from my past and contribute it to the future. Theragun has been part of my routine for many, many years now. With Therabody, my body's ready, my mind is ready, I'm challenged.
I'm Maria Sharapova. How do you see you?
I'd like to welcome back to Outside the Games. We have here Karina Nuez. She's with Los Alamitos High School in California. That softball team there, she's class of 2022. Third base, outfield, 4.0 GPA, doing it in the classroom, part of the Firecrackers Brashear program. Hey, Karina, so we talk a little bit about the student-teacher relationship.
Mhm.
What are some things you have to possess in order to help the teacher be successful in a classroom?
I think personally, like being like bluntly, like be bluntly honest with them. Like especially like our teachers, they'll be like, "Oh, is this like too much for you guys? Like, do we need to like take a step back and be like, oh, well, we need to go back to this lesson again." And I think that's like a big thing is like be like, "Yeah, I think we do need to go back to the lesson. Like, I honestly didn't retain this information." But it's also gonna get to a point where you have to put that on yourself. Like maybe like have them be like, "Oh, can you make a recording of this lesson and then put it on like Google Classroom so I can go back to and watch it." So it's just like being honest and having that connection with your teachers to be able to be like, "Okay, I need to come in and I need to learn this like lesson over again. Like let me help you at the same time."
Interesting. And then it works the other way around. What does the teacher have to do for you to be successful in the classroom, Karina?
Um, I think being willing to like put the student's perspective in sight. Like, okay, well they missed a day. Like I get that they missed a day, but how can I help them retain this information back from what they missed? And I think that's like a big thing is like some kids um maybe won't be coming to school because of like close contact COVID or like especially in these times. So like, okay, so this kid was gone for 2 days. How am I gonna help this kid get this information for the past 2 days? And I think like, yeah, just really putting their perspective in the sight is like a big thing.
So Karina, I think the thing is that you see how important that relationship is. Now there wasn't a we're not too far off from when there was COVID and you were doing this online,
Hmm. Yes.
online Zoom world.
Yes.
And whatever platform that was and how you were able to communicate and have classes
Hmm.
online. How did you handle that? Because I would like to say everything's been an adjustment when you're talking
Yeah.
about COVID and experiencing that.
So, with us, we had some classes on Zoom and some classes on Google Classroom. So some classes were on Zoom and some classes were on Google Meets. It was whatever your teacher preferred at that time. And to like help us stay engaged, we would we had this thing within like my like little friend group that we have like at softball. We're like, okay, so let's go to one person's house one days and we'll work in the backyard for like whatever, like spaced out, but having that like knowing that there's people next to you and not making sure like we're not secluded to say the word and still we're still in a learning environment to get us involved in like this like computer learning. Like obviously like it's gonna be hard. You're putting kids into the room and saying, okay, learn off the computer for however long it was. It was a long time. And like go learn on your bed, go learn on your desk in your room for however long. And then, so I think that's when we are like, okay, we got to do something about this. So that's when we were like, okay, so we'll go to one person's house one day, we'll go to another, and we're just going to learn in the backyard and we're going to have that like figures next to you, knowing that like, okay, I'm still learning with other people next to me, but I'm still on a Zoom, but it's like, it's in here. It's different, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I think there's some aspect as well when you talk about the mental state of a student athlete, especially
Yeah.
with COVID. Did you find yourself struggling mentally a little bit and when it came to just the isolation aspect when COVID first hit and
Yes.
figuring out, okay, how can we do this? How can we set up these groups? How do we need to organize this? Was there some difficulty in all that?
I remember when hurrying it over the announcements, we're gonna be done for 2 weeks. That was a big thing. March 13th, we're done for 2 weeks, and I could still hear it, literally the announcement in my head. And we still had to finish the school day. They still wanted us to finish the school day, so we did. And we heard that announcement during fourth period. After fourth period was lunch, and we all went in the team room, and we were all sitting there like, there's girls like, oh yeah, 2 weeks, but then there's like another set of us that were like, and we're like, we're not gonna have that like face-to-face interaction for 2 weeks. We're gonna at the end of the day, it's gonna be hard. We're not gonna be able to go to our friend's house every day, every day, every day. So then when COVID hit and they're like, all right, now we're online. The first 2 weeks, everyone was actually in the room. Like we were all learning in the room. And then after those 2 weeks, you're like, okay, yeah, I think it's time. Like we need to start bringing something there. We need to get these groups. We're going to each other's houses. We need this interaction, especially as a student athlete. We don't want to get stuck, coped up inside like our houses, because then we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? So I think that definitely helped with the groups, and the mental part did hit a little bit for the first 2 weeks, definitely, because it was like, okay, well, I don't have softball anymore. I don't have school anymore to go talk to anyone. So like, well, what do I do now?
No, I that's got to be a struggle. But I mean, I think what really the silver lining there is you did something. There was a plan of action that everybody was like, okay, we had to do this for a minute. Now let's think about outside the box. Let's kind of get together and other ways we can study together and make sure we're prepared as students. Do you think it's important for the teachers to know that you're a student athlete and that you perform at your best, so that way you leave a good mark for other student athletes? Do you ever think about that?
Yes. With our school's very close. So all our teachers will know, like, oh, you're on softball. Oh, you're on football, you're on baseball, you're on golf. Like a lot of our teachers know that. And I think it's also kind of cool because our coaches also communicate with our teachers. And so they're like, maybe some teachers will be lenient, like, okay, you had a game late last night. But then other teachers like, okay, you had a game late last night, but why did you do it before the game? And I think those teachers are what push you more than the lenient teachers as much. Yeah, it's nice having like, okay, well, I have one more day. But on the other hand, it all winds down to time management. And I think the teachers knowing that, like, you're an athlete, behind in like the back of their head, like, okay, this kid's an athlete. This kid has to know how to like manage their time day to day.
Oh yeah, they do. They want to see the performance too. They're big
Yes.
on that. Let's get into a little bit of the student athletes, student challenges that you face aspect. When you look at it, there's so much going on. What are some things that stand out to you that you've got to know about yourself, Karina? Things you can work on as a student athlete to get better in the academic side? Because time management, you mentioned the word a couple times. There's a lot on your plate. You have to schedule that. What are some tools you use to help you with that?
Some tools that definitely help me with that is that I'll take a time out of my day. Like I'll come home from practice and I'll be like, I'll hand my phone to my mom and like, all right, mom, you gotta take this. It's time to like, I gotta like walk in for a little bit. So I'll go in my room and I'll sit at my computer, finish whatever needs to be done. And there's a lot like on my plate. I'm, with softball at the high school, softball, club softball, school and ASB. It's a lot. It's a lot. I was at the school last night until 10:30, almost 11, because we were packing up the trucks for ASB, unpacking trucks for ASB, and then on the back of your head, you're like, oh, you have assignments due at 11:59. And so that's when it comes down to the point is that when I take an hour out of my day every day for 5 days, it's gonna add up. It works out perfectly fine. And I think that's where like I've like connected myself like, okay, I can do this. Like it's not that hard. It's only gonna be hard if I make it hard on myself.
You have to have that mindset to be able to fight through a lot of that. And I think procrastinating, it's big. I mean, you find yourself like, I already see that, hey, mom, take the phone. I don't want any distractions.
Yeah.
Even sometimes your mind wanders. It can wander a lot, and you got to
Yes.
keep focused.
Mm-hmm. And like I'll be honest, like I'm not like 100% like perfect like school. There's times where I sit here and I'm like, okay, like okay, no phone, and I'm dozed out for like a good 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, that's 20 minutes gone, Karina. Like let's come back in, like let's go. And then so that's when, like it's a mental checkpoint, like let's get back into it, let's go.
For you, um, looking at handling media, I think that's a big thing. You know, you look at social media platforms,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many of them
Mm-hmm.
that you have to manage. Twitter being one that obviously is a lot, has to do with your kind of profile of you as your sport. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for college coaches to get a little insight of who Karina Nuez is, where she's at, what she
Mm-hmm.
does. How important is social media to you, and how do you handle it? Do you think there's a certain way you have to handle that?
With Twitter and my whole like softball like recruiting page, I don't hold a personal Twitter. I only hold like the softball Twitter, which is ran by me and my mom. Um, so I think handling that is making sure I'm getting my videos out there, making sure I'm adding like Twitter handles that are gonna want to repost, and like especially like you guys 100% like help a lot. Like commenting, liking, like it's a great help. And I think it also pays off when you see like coaches following you after that. Like and coaches like engaging with your content, and it's almost like a payoff. Like editing all these videos together to make one big tournament video and posting it out there, but then getting the feedback you want from it is just 100 makes it like 100 times better, and it's amazing.
Karina, I think the thing is, with all that, you just don't know who's behind where. So when
Mhm.
something is shared, when something is retweeted or tweeted, liked, you don't know it's where it goes,
Yeah.
and really who's going to see it, because it could be word of mouth. Somebody sees it, they go, "Oh, hey, coach, I need you to take a look at that," or "Hey,
Yeah.
you're part of this. You need to take a look at this. See what she does." I mean, you never know who's watching. I think that's really
Mhm.
the big thing of that, right?
Yes. And I think like even that it's almost like even with like yes, I have like a personal Instagram, but it's almost like it shows me who I am. I'm a very like friends person, so it's all my friends on like it shows me like always hanging out with my friends, like doing stuff and like having fun and like living in the senior year and like having a lot of fun like outside of softball. So you also get two parts of me. You get the softball side, who's at that tournament all day, Saturday, Sunday. But then you get like the week fun like Karina. Like you get the Monday through Friday Karina. That's how I always think of it. You have Monday through Friday Karina, and you have Saturday through Sunday Karina.
It's kind of the total package.
Yeah.
Who you are. So that's very important to have.
Hmm.
Do you think that there's, when you talk about posting things, that's
Hmm.
it's interesting, is when you post something, you kind of have to really, is that what I want to say?
Yeah.
You want to put it out there?
Hmm.
People can either screenshot it, video record now with phones.
Yeah.
So how do you go into making that decision? Because you're really managing. Really, what you're doing is you're managing your profile and your
You
Twitter or social media. How do you go about that?
100%. And I think with Rob at the high school, we have this thing, we have this poster in our locker room. Right when you walk in, it says think about what you post. And it has like 1 to 10 things on what like are you holding a red solo cup in your hand? Can it be, yeah, there's water in it, but what can it be mistaken as? And there's 100 like videos. Are you saying a clean part of a song, but what's the real meaning behind the song? So it's not like the 30 seconds within the song, it's the whole 2 minute and 30-second song. So, and I think that like constantly is like in the back of my head, like, oh, we have that poster. Like we have what's in there. Like, let's take a step back. Let's reboot. Okay, yes, you're gonna be a kid. You're gonna 100% like have fun. Like have fun. Like we're gonna mess up. Nobody's perfect. And at the end of the day, you have to backtrack. But it's also about the greater good of you. Like overall, what's your profile? Overall, who are you as a kid?
You're really trying to eliminate as many mistakes or bad
Mhm.
decisions you make.
Yes.
You're going to make some. It's going to
Yes.
happen. But if you can
Yes.
limit the ones that are going to have impact,
Mhm.
not only on you, but other people around you, I think that's the big thing, is people don't take in consideration when a decision is made, what does this impact? I think that's always a good question to ask yourself and say, does this impact just me, or does this impact my parents, my brother,
Yeah.
other people,
Mhm.
coaches, my mentors? That's the biggest question. And I think when you answer that, that's when you kind of think on how you approach it.
Yeah.
Do
How
it.
you're gonna approach the post or the tweet or even the like tweet, because you can see what other people like on their tweets, and I think like, okay, well, let's stick to what we know what's best. Like going back to what my dad says like about the software, installing the software, like he's never taught me to like say all these bad things about other people, so why would I even feed into it?
Do you feel, Karina, that leadership, when you hear that word, what comes to mind for you as a leader in the academic sense, in your school, but also too talking about, we're going to start getting into softball a little bit, but talking about being a student athlete, what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership to me, especially being a part of ASB, has shown me what leadership is. Kids are constantly looking up to you. We're thought of the leaders on campus. We have these blue polos that we'll wear like some days out of the year for school. And when you wear that blue polo, questions are being asked for you throughout the day. Where's this class? Where's this class? Where's this class? How do I get to the activities office? How do I get to the health office? And I think like being a leader, it's gonna be hard. Obviously, you're gonna get overwhelmed and like it, but it also shows like how are you gonna help put these kids in the right directions while also making sure you're on the right direction. And I think that's 100% on like student athlete, especially like you walk in, you're let's say you're tutoring for the day, a younger kid walks in and like, oh, she's doing her homework, like she's studying right now, like okay, I that's what I want to do, like I want to be like her. That's 100% why kids are gonna look up to you at the end of the day.
Oh, that's strong. I love that. I love that. Well, we're here with Karina Nuez with Los Alamitos High School in California, 4.0 GPA, part of the Firecrackers Brashear Club Team Program. 4.0 student, folks, class of 2022. We'll be right back.
Enterprise isn't just one of the world's largest transportation providers. We're a committed team, helping you get to what matters most: your family, your livelihood, and your next adventure. Getting you there begins with our employees, who are motivated to make a difference for you every day, around the world and around the corner, in neighborhoods like yours, connecting you to all the places you love. That's Enterprise.
I'd like to welcome everybody back to Outside the Games. We're here with Karina Nuez. She is with Los Alamitos High School, California, class of 2022, third base, outfield, softball for that softball team in high school. She is also part of the Firecrackers Brashear club team program, 4.0 student. And hey, Karina, we talk about the Firecrackers Brashear club team. That club team is special to you. You've been there, you said it's somewhere around 2 years or so.
Mhm.
What makes that club team special to you? Talk about your teammates, talk about your sisters, talk about your coaches. What is it about that? Why that organization?
Um, well, I originally transferred in. Like I said, I've only been there for 2 years. So, growing up, I was with SoCal Athletics. It was it was a decent organization. I actually loved being there. Loved being a part of like Bruce Richardson and like all them. I played for my dad. Played also for another girl's dad on my team. SoCal Athletics Limo, and COVID hit, and we are like, all right, like I it was kind of like hard on our parents, especially like we can't we gotta attend to work more now, so we gotta get to work more than we have to be at softball, and it was putting both of the coaches families first rather than a softball team. And so we're like, okay, so we followed through with that, and I went to Firecrackers Brashear organization. One of the best decisions I've ever made. The environment that surrounds like at practice is like fun. We're singing, we're dancing, but at the end of the day, we're getting in work. Like even like from like outside in kids will be like, you would never think that like you guys have so much fun at practice because your team is so good. All three teams that we have at the 18U level are so fundamentally good, like good athletes. Like all our athletes are just all around amazing. And that also goes back to like our coaches. Our coaches make it fun for us. Yes, they're gonna yell at us. Yes, they're gonna drop words. Yes, they're gonna, they're gonna get on us. But at the end of the day, it also comes back that they care. And I think that's like when coaches care and when you see that, it also pushes you to like be better and it makes the organization better. It makes the kids around us better. And all the girls are like my sisters. We'll be playing inter-squad scrimmage. We're pushing girls off the bags and like tagging them and like make, oh my god, they're out. But it's fun. It's fun all around. Definitely a great organization to be a part of 100%.
How has the team done in performing and really growing as a team with Firecrackers Brashear?
We've done really well. Last year our 18s did really good in the Alliance National Tournament, a part of a winning championship mindset organization. Going in, we had our first trying to qualify for nationals, tier 1 nationals. So we were in Laughlin, Nevada, and definitely one of the most fun tournaments I've ever played in. This was in 16U, and we're trying to get that tier 1 alliance qualification. We're out there, it's hot, we're running low on pitchers, and we won it. We did it in 5 games. We beat American Pastime in an amazing catch by our center field, Nate Kyle. 100 great kid. She stuck her glove out, and we're running out to her. Like, we did that. We're going to Oklahoma. It's gonna be fun. And growing up, it's kind of cool. Like, if you saw from our first practice, like, oh, we're gonna be an okay team. And then at the end you're like, they're a good team. Like, we were a team to beat, definitely.
Wow. And I'm thinking about all the travel. What an experience to travel to places that you've never really maybe been.
Yeah.
That experience of food and just the what that town is like and the people in the town.
Mm-hmm.
Through what that experience is.
So like we were in College Station, Texas, around a year ago. Yeah, November. We traveled out there and that was amazing. I remember we were sitting there at like a barbecue place and it was different than like California barbecue. We didn't sit down and ordered. We were like, there was like a row of food and it was like, I want this, this, and this, and this, and then you paid at the end. And I was like, okay, this is like Chipotle, but like we have like barbecue food, like what's going on? And like it was so cool. It was like a barn theme inside, but then you're sitting on like outside chairs, like like plastic, like fun party chairs. Like it was fun. It was like cool. It was different because it wasn't like the same like California vibe that we're used to like 24/7 here. It's fun to see like the outside environment. I even told my parents after we left, I was like, no, I want to move here when I grow up. Like this is cool.
Get into now the training aspect of a softball player. There's a lot that goes into that. You have to train your body. Take me through what Karina Nuez does to kind of make sure that she's in the best shape she can be for softball.
So with this is with training is definitely focusing on can I go a whole game without like being like mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, and like everything that lies within. So like, okay, so I live in a neighborhood where there's a perfect circle for me to go around and like run around. If I run around this, I'll meet right back at my house, and it's literally perfect. So I'll go out there, like train my body. Okay, I need to make it to this house without stopping. I need to make it to this house without stopping. And it just builds my way all the way through. And another part is definitely weightlifting. Obviously, like getting stronger, bench pressing, back squats, and it all lies within. And I think training was definitely a big thing over COVID. We were going out to our high school on the track. We're running miles, and we're trying to like build ourselves, making sure we're like mentally checked in and physically checked in. And we're running sprints up and down the football field, like trying with only a minute break, and then it'll cut down okay, no, only 40-second break. We're running back and forth. And I think that's also like what's helped me definitely a lot, because like at the end of the day, you're gonna get tired. Yes, 100%. Like, and we do these things before practice called 5 lines on top, and they're all agility things. So it's like high knees through, high knees back, high knees through, high knees back, and then um we do like jump squats, sprints. Like we're out there for a good 10 minutes, but you're constantly going, but at the end of the day, training, it's gonna get tough, but it's definitely pushed me.
There's got to be something, Karina, that you notice with yourself. There's a challenge.
Mhm.
There's a challenge. There's something about what you probably do in training that you go, you know what? Oh my gosh, this today I'm not dealing with it, but I gotta fight through it. That's
Yeah.
the mindset again that comes into play. Is there
hmm
something that, it could be abs, could be legs, it could be just different things of your training that you find very challenging to put, and you got to push yourself through? What is that?
It's the foul pulls. Foul pulls absolutely kill me. And I'm gonna be completely honest. You hear coach say get on the pulls, I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this right now. Like it's time to go. And yes, I run at home. And yes, but I think when you're also exhausted from the school day, exhausted from practice, like midway, and he's like, all right, you're get on the pulls. Okay, here we go. Like, and then you're halfway through and you're like, I'm not even done yet. But but it's also like, let's mentally check back in, like, let's do this.
What's what I find interesting about that is there is a level that you hit. It's that wall. Many athletes talk about that wall you hit. To fight through that wall, though, and you'll be put in situations, softball wise, academically, in life,
hmm
you have to fight through that. Is that something you kind of look at when you deal with that challenge, or you go, man, polls, I got to fight through this? You think of all the other things that it applies to of fighting through?
100%. I think of it as like, okay, you're on top of the seventh inning, bottom of the seventh inning. You have bases loaded, 2 outs. I put myself through that situation. How am I gonna mentally check in, and how am I gonna physically check in both? I have to push through. Maybe I have to get a ball through the 5-6 hole for a run to score. So how am I gonna? I have to finish one pull for this run to score, and I think that's where I also have to put like put myself in these situations that are gonna help me get better and help me want to push through these foul poles.
Third base and outfield. There is something about those positions. Take me through what those positions are like to be able to play them, and
Okay.
why those positions.
Growing up, I was a middle infielder. I was a shortstop and second baseman growing up. All stars of 10U, I got thrown in at third. They're like, all right, Karina, you're at third, and I was like, that's kind of close. I was like, are you sure? I was like, we're a little close. Okay. And so I went there, and now I'm like, okay, I don't want to go to second. The ball's gonna take too long to get to me. It's either gonna bounce, hit me. Can the ball just, if I'm at third, the ball can just hit me. Like I don't want to think about it. And then so I think that's like the fun way, like I think of that. Like you talk to any third baseman at our program, especially at our high school program, me and Giselle Alvarez at third were like, why are we at shortstop right now? Like this ball is gonna bounce and hit me, and like this is bad. But then at third, you have a different mindset. But it happens so quick over there. You have to react to either you want to dive or do you have to get back to the bag. Like it's 100%. And covering grass in the outfield is super fun. I think like I get thrown out in the outfield. I'm like, all right, guys, like all right, here we go. Like I'm covering grass now. I'm not covering a foot of dirt anymore. Like I'm covering all this grass. Like it's on us now.
Wow. I, take me through what it is for you as an athlete, when it comes to the mental preparation, because the mental and the physical, they're two different things, but you need both in order to part, to compete. What do
hmm
you do to mentally prepare yourself when you're getting ready for a game or getting ready for a tough opponent?
AirPods straight in, AirPods playlist on. Mentally, like everything at school that's happening, swiped out. Everything that's happening with friends, out. Like this is time to like clock in, and this is the time to maybe get that stress out. And I think like like clicking back in, like knowing who your opponent is also 100% like amazing, like know who you're playing and know who you're up against. But then once as the AirPods go in, I'm sitting in the car, I'm like, okay, we have 3 games today, we need 3 games to get to the semifinals, we got this. And putting myself in that mental like toughness, and I think like listening to the music like hyping you up, and then at the end of the day you're playing in the game and you're playing loose, everything's gonna lay out how you want it.
I know that just like guys, yeah, they talk smack, they talk whatever.
Mhm.
It gets like that for girls, don't it?
Yeah, it's a little bickery. We have this girl on our team, we call her Coco. 5'1", 5'2", not very tall. The biggest bicker talker you want to say, but she's fun to play with. Maybe not fun to play against, but she's fun to play with. She adds that spike, like other teams get mad at her. I'm not gonna lie. And if I was on the other team, I'd be mad too. She's taking big leads and then walking back because she knows she's gonna make it. Like she's aware. And I think that's kind of cool, like to play against. Like, yeah, we're gonna bicker at each other. We're gonna like maybe talk smack on the bases or like whatever, but it could get crazy, but we know what we should do. And I think also at scrimmages within the high school, it gets very passive aggressive, to say the least. We're screaming at each other like, how do you not see that? Like, what are you watching? And I think that's what makes it fun at that, like in that moment in time. If you're getting screamed at, like, I'm sorry, like you gotta put up with it. I get screamed at. I gotta put up with it. It's just fun to be around, and I think it makes the game fun.
So, let's talk about Los Alamitos High School, the softball team. What is the goal of that softball team this year? You got through the COVID year, less games possibly there, but now you have a kind of a new slate. It's now to start, hey, it's win games and it's trying to get to that state championship,
Mm-hmm.
right?
100% CIF champs. That's our goal. We've been on the gas since summer. Since summer, we've been full boards. Like I talk to like other girls. I'm like, oh, are you guys doing anything? They're like, oh, we're just weight training. But we're on the field. We're running through plays. We're going full board. That's like our thing at our high school is full board. We're going full board. We're sliding in. We're making tags. We're trying to get 1% better every single day. And that's what it's gonna have to be if we want to be the team at the end that has the ring.
And there's something to say about your team. You are now a senior, Karina.
Mm-hmm.
You now play that role for the underclassmen to be the leader.
Yeah.
How have you embraced that role, and how have you really helped your teammates and your coaches
Mm-hmm.
to be a good team?
So 100%. We have lines. We have we have 5 lines. So it'll be a senior up and then another senior. So those are your 2 leaders of your line. So it's me and Taylor Johnson in our line. We're talking to the girls, are asking them how their day was, making sure they're engaged in what we're about to do at practice. Then we varsity be on defense, and then we'll have varsity returners on defense, and then we'll have runners running. And then so you'll see some girls maybe not tag up on a ball, so I'll be like, okay, before you get yelled at, let's pull you aside. I'm gonna pull you aside personally, like athlete to athlete, and we're gonna talk about this. So I'll show them like, okay, like this is what we have to do on this play. And when a coach sees you doing that, the respect just definitely 100% goes up, and the respect from the other girls, the respect from your teammates will build up. And then at the end of the day, respect the game. Like you're respecting the game, you're playing the game, and it's gonna be fun.
And there's something to be said about playing for those coaches. They mean a lot to you, and I think when you want to perform at that highest level,
Mm-hmm.
to get a ring, to finish it off and cap off your senior year as it being a very special year. And even if you win or you lose, but you have a good season and you really
Yeah.
make it a special one, that's important. That means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Yes. And definitely making our coaches proud at the end of the day. Our coaches put in so much work and effort. We have Holly Hernandez, we have Janet, we have Rob Wow, we have Aaron Camara on our program. And overall, definitely one of the best coaches I've ever played for. At the end of the day, we're just trying to make them happy. We're trying to put in work for ourselves, make ourselves happy, make the program, make our fans. We've built a fan base. We come from a very winning program at our high school. We won CIF championship in 2017, and after that, all eyes were on us. We got our COVID year, 10-0 before we got our COVID year swept, like gone, and that was ring season, and then now we're on to our junior year. We started 10-0. Maybe we hit a little. We beat Norco I'm gonna say 2-1. We beat Norco, so that rivalry between Norco, and then we had our little downslope, and then we built back up, and it was kind of like a roller coaster year. But I think that's also what's gonna make us come back from that. Like we don't want that again. We don't want that roller coaster year. We want to stay up here through the whole season and not let up on the gas one bit.
Take me through what it is for recruiting, and we don't want to get too in depth.
Mm-hmm.
What has that recruiting process meant for you, and how do you view it? What is your outlook about it? Let things fall where they do. Take us outside the games through that.
I think 100% God's got a plan. Whatever that is. If I'm gonna go play at a Division II school, that was God's plan. If I'm gonna play at a Division I school, that was God's plan 100%. Going back to the idea, God always has a plan, and so I'm never really trying to put that much stress on my shoulders, because that's only gonna weigh me down 100% more than I already want to. My mom's obviously gonna get on me like, come on, Karina, make sure you're doing your recruiting and stuff, make sure you're recruiting. But then also at the back of my head, be like, okay, well, yes, let's do it. But like at the end of the day, she also knows like God's got her back, definitely.
Is there a favorite college team you love watching?
That I love watching? 100% Oregon. I think how they can just build in from aspects of like different and build in as a team together. And Texas, my cousin Mary Iacofo is definitely one of the bigger names, and it's so fun to be a part. Like, okay, like you want to be like her, obviously, and so like it pushes me and to be better, and like train harder. So I think watching college definitely helps, and I love watching all teams. I always say I'd rather watch college than pros, 100%.
So really when you look at just the whole picture of your senior year for you, Karina, it's academically, you look at just what you're doing for softball, for the Firecrackers Brashear program.
Mm-hmm.
What is one word you could say that would make it just very special altogether?
Say variation, only because like there is different kids. When you have different kids coming from, oh, my school was always in school, and when you have my kids, or I never went to school for 2 weeks. A variety of kids like all together, it builds us and it makes us stronger. And when you have kids from Simi Valley all the way down to San Diego and you bring them together, there's your variation of kids, and I think that's what makes our program and who we are special.
Perfect. That's great. I love it. A word that I have not heard before, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Karina, Nuez, it's been a pleasure to have you on Outside the Games. We really thank you so much for coming onto our program, telling your story, telling your experiences. This is a class of 2022, those Alamitos High School in California, 4.0 GPA, third base, outfield, part of the Firecrackers Brashear program. It's been a pleasure to have you on our show, Karina.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
This is Savannah Gemolo, and you've been watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Menton.